However, I think I've seen where, you got $30,000 in coverage and then you got a $150,000 loss. Well, why didn't you insure it correctly?
Yeah, for sure. That's why again, it goes back to that replacement cost estimator. Knowing exactly what your client's home is worth, knowing the features of the home, and insuring it correctly and insuring it, to value. So.
Awesome. So I look at a lot of books of business and a lot of personal lines books of business, and I notice here with a lot of agents in this area, I notice 3 coverages that I don't see very often, or 3 policy types I don't see very often. I don't see too many valuable articles policies. I don't see too many umbrellas, and I don't see too many flood policies. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but flood insurance is the only thing that covers rising water, correct?
Correct. Yep. And typically in Oklahoma, the only time you're going to see an agent need to get a quote for flood is if it's required by the lender, if it's in a flood zone. So yeah, that's when the lender requires it based on the area. But yeah.
But isn't it like $200 a year if I'm not in a flood zone?
Pretty much. Yeah, it's really, really cheap if you're not in a flood zone.
Yeah,
for sure.
I'm from Houston, where even when you're not in a flood zone, it floods.
Yeah. Yeah, you never know. No.
So I'd rather pay the $200 a year and have flood coverage.
It's not a bad idea to offer it to every person.
And then an umbrella, that's excess liability, right?
Yep. It's just extra coverage.
Right. So if I've got teenage kids and I'm running low limits on my auto for some reason, that means I'm on the hook for the rest of it?
Correct. They can come after you personally.
Wow.
That's why you should always offer an umbrella, especially to your high-value clients, for sure. Really to anybody, because, if you've got anything that your auto policy doesn't cover is something that they can come after you personally for, and if they think they can, they will. So an umbrella just kicks in and gives you all of the extra coverage that you would need in the case of a lawsuit.
Right.
So.
Awesome. And some umbrellas will cover you worldwide, right?
Yeah.
So if I rent a jet ski somewhere and total it, then
yep,
my umbrella can kick in, it'll drop down to cover.
Yeah. It's somewhat, yeah. It definitely has limits, but yeah, umbrella will cover you nationwide, worldwide. It's just extra coverage for any kind of liability loss.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that's a very undersold. And then, correct me if I'm wrong, but on a personal lines policy, guns have a sublimit, correct? What is that usually?
Usually, a default on just a regular homeowner's policy, an HO3 or an HO5, is going to be about $10,000 for firearms, just depending. But they do have to be listed. They're going to have to be endorsed individually. But almost all of our main carriers offer additional coverage for all of these things. So if you have a client that has a need for, if they've got a gun safe with thousands of dollars in guns, just let's endorse it, because it's better to have it listed out every time than to just assume, because they're going to have to prove that they had that item in their home. So.
Yeah, I think Oklahoma and Arkansas have a lot of guns.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't see very many valuable article policies covering those firearms.
Yeah, definitely they need to be endorsed specifically.